Hello everybody, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Hot Jupiter here. So in our last episode, we built a craft that's going to take us to Duna. And we launched that craft into orbit, and it is sitting in Kerbal orbit right now. And we're going to just have a look at Duna. If you look at the little specs you can read up on it, kind of funny little info. Let's look at the actual characteristics of Duna. You can see all the little bits and pieces of information. The ASL, average surface something gravity, I'm not sure what that exactly stands for, the ASL part, but 0.3 Gs. So it's a lot less than Kerbin, but not ridiculously less. Tells us your escape velocity you need to get off the planet, and all kinds of stuff. The rotation period, sphere of influence, atmosphere, yes. Atmosphere height 50 meters. So it's a lot less high than Kerbin's atmosphere. I think it goes to 70. So this is a good 20 kilometers under Kerbin's atmosphere. So when we come in here to air brake, it's going to be a little less effective. And there's Duna's moon, Ike. Interestingly, Ike is in a geostationary orbit from Duna, meaning that if you land in a spot where you can see Ike, it just kind of hovers there. It just sits there. It never moves. It's kind of freaky. But anyway, this is where we're going to be going. This is the planet we're looking for here. Let's go back out to Kerbin, where we are. There's our ship. That's not our ship. Where's our ship? Here it is. Duna Explorer Mark 1. Still in orbit. Here she is. Alright, so let's plan this transfer orbit. So, does it matter where we burn on the planet? Absolutely. General rule of thumb to think here is if you want to go further out away from the sun, you want to burn somewhere on the dark side of Kerbin. And if you want to go inwards towards Eve and Moho and the sun, you're going to want to burn on the light side. And here's why. Just like when we escaped the moon, we're going to want to basically pull this all the way out, past the moon, past Minmus. Bam, it just snaps. We just broke the orbit, and now we're escaping in the direction that Kerbin is revolving around Kerbal, the sun. So what that means is, as we are escaping, we're actually building orbital velocity in relation to the sun. If you burn on the other side of the planet, going this way, you are now burning the opposite direction that Kerbin is revolving, and so you're losing orbital velocity. It's going to bring you in closer to Eve. We don't want Eve. We want Duna. So, and again, the best way to do this, the most efficient way, is to make sure that your orange line of breaking out is close to the purple line of the orbit. That's the best way to do this here. So, and it looks like, of course, we've crossed over, so it's showing us a little X. Fine. We'll put it behind the ship. We'll do that again. We'll pull it right out until it breaks. There we are. And we're just going to want to line it up with that purple one. A little further out here, and we're just going to pull this toggle until it's already doing it. So we want to just make it just meet. And again, just like with Rendezvous, here's our two nodes. Closest approach and target at closest approach. So we're just about there. We can get a little better by mucking around with this a little more. We can actually see it changing. And you just kind of have to goof around with it until it meets up. Now it's very close. I'm not sure. It just doesn't want to meet just yet. We'll pull some of these. What do we have here? Separation 90 kilometers. 59 kilometers. We're getting closer. There. So there is our first encounter with Duna, with a periapsis of 44 million meters, which we're going to just try to Try to bring that right down. Oop. 45, so we were better going the other direction. Oh, no we weren't. Let's go back this way. These things are very finicky. 44. So let's look what's actually happening. We're bursting away from Kerbin, out of Kerbin, into the solar orbit. And since we waited till Duna was right here, our phase angle of 44 degrees, all we had to do was just burn long enough, and we just automatically come right out, and we're going to meet right up with Duna as Duna's getting there. So we're going to get to Duna's orbit just as Duna's there. It's really quite amazing that, you know, and NASA actually does this. This is not just something that this game does. NASA plans their transfer orbits to Mars when they send the rovers up there, and the Curiosity rovers and stuff. That's how they do it. They make a little burn. They know exactly when to do it. They have really smart guys there that know all that math and physics, and they just do one big burn. They might make a few corrections on the way, but that's pretty much how they do it, and that's how we're going to do it. So that node is coming up very quickly. In 26 seconds. We're not quite going to make it in that amount of time, because we're going to have to burn for a lot longer than that, because we have just a little bit of fuel left in this ascent stage. Come on, don't go too far. Wow, this thing is really cumbersome. It takes forever to move it. So what I think we might do is wait till we get around the other side of the planet and do it again. So we're just gonna go around. Now it's gonna tell us that we're late, but Duna's not really gonna move too much, so it's okay. It's gonna rotate around. Actually, what I might do, just for kicks, it was about 1039 meters per second. Let's re-put it. Let's do it again. So put it right about here. Pull it out until it breaks. Until we get that encounter. It's very close. Let's just kind of move things around a little bit. Ooh, I see something in there. That's not what we want. I'm going to want it a little more this way. It's very jumpy. Oh, there we are. And that's an even better encounter than before, so that's good that we did that. Alright. So we're pointed at the node. Now it says estimated burn 31 seconds, but that's assuming we have full fuel. We don't. We only have about 5 seconds of that, so we're gonna probably burn at maybe the 2-minute mark. Maybe a minute 30, minute 45, something like that. Let's get it going now. So we'll start pushing. It's going to drop our orbit just slightly because we're kind of burning in towards the planet, but that's okay. Alright, so it's out. We're going to stage it. Now it looks like I need to activate this engine and this engine, because I kind of put these down here when they should really be over here. Might just move them over. And let's get her going again. So you can see we're barely thrusting away at all, but that's okay, because once you're in space, the amount of thrust is really not that important. What's really important in space is your specific impulse, which you can see up here in the top left, 800, which is really good. And if you look, estimated burn is now 3 minutes and 33 seconds. What we can do, so we're not sitting here for the full 3 minutes, if you hit Alt, the Alt key plus the time warp key, you can kind of increase your physical time warp. I just wouldn't go too fast with it, because you can see it starts to bend and wobble, and it becomes really unstable. So I'm just going to stay at ×2. Just going to stay here at ×2. So we have a 2-minute burn, which is really more like a minute. So look, I think I might pause it until we're just about done with it. Alright, so we've just broken out of Kerbin. Got about 20 seconds of thrust left to go. And you can see now our yellow orbit is pushing out way past Kerbin, out towards Duna's orbit. 10 seconds to go. Just gonna slow it down a little bit. Chase that little node around. Till we get a little encounter. There. So let's get rid of the node. Periaps is 40. Now what I like to do is just try to muck around with it. Alright, so I'm just thrusting forward in prograde and it's going down a little bit. Just keep it going. See if we can get that ever so close. I'm looking at the Duna periapsis. It's letting it get lower and lower, and it's getting slower, which means probably can't do this for much longer. If you go too far, it'll start rebounding back like it is right now. So you gotta be careful, you gotta watch it. 13. I'm just gonna hit the RCS and reverse, pressing the N key, just to get it really close. 12, 9, 13. Alright, so about 12, 9. That's the closest we're gonna get right now to Duna. And if you look at our descending node, our inclination is just off by 0.1. That's practically nothing. We're basically perfectly inclined with Duna. We're going to hit it right here in 60 days. And so I'll see you in 60 days. No, just kidding. That's why we have time warp, right? We're not playing Kerbal hardcore mode. Alright. So let us warp forward. Enlin and Nedald Kerman on the way to Duna. So I think this is like the first time that we're leaving the safety of Kerbin. So we're just flying away. Our escape, Kerbin escape is in 22 hours. Let's just go to 1,000 times. So you can really see Kerbin flying away now. Go one more to 10,000. And there we are. So at this point, we are no longer bound by Kerbin's gravity. We have escaped Kerbin, our home planet. We are now enslaved to the sun. The sun now has orbit. And if you see our orbital velocity on the bottom of, or the top of the nav ball, we now are traveling at 10,161 meters per second, or 10 kilometers per second. That is wicked fast. I'm not from Boston, I just like to say wicked fast. So, there's little Kerbin back there. Poor little Kerbin. If we keep accelerating, it'll eventually disappear, which is very sad for us. Still see it. And it's just a flicker now. It's gone. It's just about gone. It's a tiny flicker. Now it's really gone. So that's us away from Kerbin now. So we've already now come far out from where it was. We're like, getting over to Duna now. If we look at Duna, Duna's just going to slowly start coming towards us now. Go to 100,000 times. You can see that we are catching up on Duna now because our orbit is inside of it. So we're going a little faster. If you look, Duna's velocity is 7,800 roughly. Ours is 8,600. So, and falling, right? So we're just continuing to get closer to it. Now along the way here, it's good to make little correction burns, or to try to make little correction burns. Take a look here, and sometimes you don't always know what to do. I don't really always know what to do, so you can always add the maneuver node. And let's see, our inclination is pretty good, but let's just thrust up a little bit. So already at 12 periapsis. By thrusting up, it corrects it a little bit. It goes down to 8. That's the bottom number down there. Let's see, a little more. It goes down to 7. A little more. 7.2. 11. Okay, so it's gotten worse. We'll go back down. 7.2. 7.2. So if we do that burn, it's going to take a second. Literally 1 second. That's going to get us that much closer to Duna. Now out here in interplanetary space, you can't see anything except the sun. It's just stars and the sun. It's kind of freaky. Because if you think about it, that's what space is. It's the stuff that we see here on Earth with the planets and the suns, and that's the minority in space. The majority of space is just big, blank, inky voids of nothing, and it's terrifying to think about, but I love it at the same time. That's why I love this game. Okay, that node is in a little bit. We want to try to just get up to that node. It's not going to make a big difference because, well, space is huge. So it doesn't matter if you're 14 minutes away or 14 hours away, really. So let's make that burn now. We can just watch it. 9, 8, 7. Let's get rid of it. So our Duna periapsis is 7.3, 7.2, and going back up. So we'll keep it right about there. So all we did really, we kind of just thrust it upwards because I kind of could tell we were a little low. So either that was a good guess. So now we're a little closer. Another thing we could try, again, make sure you're doing your maneuvers on the blue line, not the purple line. Purple lines, if we missed Duna and came back around again, as you can see, this would be in 149 days. That's not right, so we want this one here. Let's try pulling this one. So we're at 7.2. Ah, that helped even. So the bottom number again, 5.8. That helped us. Another good guess. 5.2. 3.4. 2.3. So this is good. We're going to point. So we're basically pointing away from Duna. Or, I'm sorry, away from the sun, right? Because the nav ball now is in relation to the sun. The nav ball is the sun, so we're pointing away from the sun, which is actually towards Duna. Pointing basically over in that direction. And let's get a little closer to the node there. Alright, and let's start this burn here. I'm going to watch this thing get down to 2 or 3, something like that. Let's get rid of it, just so we don't get confused. Periapsis 3.2, 3.1, 2.9, and falling. Let's see how close we can get this thing. The closer the better. It's coming right down. Wow, this is great. Let's stick to right there, about 300,000, maybe a little in, 200,000. That's perfect. So we're wow, that was really good. We're just kind of now careening even closer, right towards it, and that's good. So we'll point at the target, and let's zoom in a little more. So now we're a little ahead of Duna. But now we're going slower than it because we're getting closer to it. So it's going to start speeding up on us. Looks like it's speeding up on us, but actually we're just slowing down. But to Duna, yeah, it depends on your, speed relative to what, right? Alright, here we are. Getting our encounter, it's coming up. If we look across, maybe we can actually see Duna a little bit. And we can. Pointing right at it, I don't know if you guys can see it, she's right over there, right across the galaxy line right there. Just a little red blob. Let's get a little closer. See it getting close now. And don't want to go too fast with it. There we are. So we are now in Duna's gravity influence. So just like with the moon, we're going to want to put a node. Now sometimes it gets a little funny with these nodes. It doesn't let you like put them just anywhere. Not really sure why, so he didn't like it. It's like really doesn't want you to put a node, but we're just gonna find it anyway. Come on. Come on. I know you're in there somewhere. Oh jeez, come on. I'm not really sure why it does this. I'm sure Squad will release an update and fix it, but for now it's just kind of really annoying. Alright, here we go. And we're just gonna make this, again, we go straight up and down. So that goes right across the equator there. Not gonna wait till the node because it's 6 hours away, so we're just gonna do it now. We're just gonna kind of eyeball it. It's more efficient from back here anyway. And there we have it. Good. And our periapsis is 428. So we still have a couple more corrections to go, but I think this is a good place to stop this video. I hope you guys learned a little bit. Next time when we come back, we're going to keep on doing little corrections just to get this periapsis to actually go inside Duna's atmosphere. I know it seems crazy and strange, but we're going to bring the whole spacecraft into Duna's atmosphere and perform what's called an aero capture maneuver, where it's not just air braking, we're going to actually get a captured orbit just from air braking. We're going to use the air just like when we go to Kerbin, but we're not going to bring it down so much that we fall into the planet, so we have to time it just right. And we'll do that next time. See you then.